Welcome back to the Cricket Today podcast on Wednesday, March the 6th. We're back for a whole range of world cricket, so make sure you listen to this wherever you get your podcasts and subscribe to our YouTube channel. I'm your host, Liam McAllion, also known as the Stats Guy. I'm going to start with Marcus Bazzano today, otherwise he might have a sook. Hey, how you going, Marcus? I'm
having a sook here. It's not on the run sheet, not in the correct order. I don't like the Stats Guy.
Usually you don't, mine got off the run sheet. Also with Leo Mullaly, he's in a different spot. He's a bit too close to me, to my liking. How you going, Leo?
Nah, doing good, Stats Guy. Happy to be first in line in this run sheet here. Always puts me on top, I think.
Yeah. Marcus wants to say something about that. I'm not going to let him. Today we're going to talk about the final test between India and England. Obviously, India have already won that series 3-1. But yeah, England will want to try and prove that Bazball's better. Moral victory, as they say. We're going to talk about how Bazball has progressed, or if it's progressed, with an intriguing nah. Then we're going to follow on with this with a Code Sports, an interview with Daniel Cherny from Code Sports, which will be good fun. He's live in New Zealand covering the Australia versus New Zealand test. So we're also going to have a chat about that with our predictions and man of the match for that second test in New Zealand, lads. So let's get right into it. India versus England, fifth test preview here. I'll start with the nah. We like nahs on our shows here. Bazball has evolved the English cricket team for good. Nah.
Well, we'll give a bit of context here. Stats,
okay,
right?
you can.
Hell no.
Well, yeah, you give a bit of context.
So Ben Stokes came out and said that they've evolved this series as a cricket team, and that they still want to win this last test match.
Yeah, when they've had their biggest loss. Yeah, they obviously want to win. They had their biggest test loss in 90 years, which was a 434 run loss. And they won that first test. In that first test, they're probably going, oh, maybe Bazball's all right. And then they've gotten smashed ever since. So
they should have won they were in a very good position to
win the second one,
win or draw the
or third.
The most recent one.
Yes. The fourth then. Yeah. So you guys are leaning more towards nah? You've already said a big no.
Yeah, I'm going to say no. When there's key terms here, I think how it sort of was in football terms with Gareth Southgate and how he galvanises the English dressing room.
Yeah,
I think the dressing room is better than it was beforehand.
Yeah,
but in terms of on the pitch, I don't think it's progressed.
Yeah,
they did very well to win that first test against India, and that's a great accomplishment because it's very hard to win test matches in India.
Oh, absolutely.
But they still need to go a long way if they want to be one of the in a discussion for the top cricketing nations in the world.
No, I'll agree with that. I think they sort of showed last test being in the match for such a long time. Like Joe Root, for example, was going at 40 strike rate, but then the guys around him were still going really hard. They don't all have to buy into this Bazball. I think that's what Brendan McCullum, I feel like they might change over the next few months their slight philosophy how everyone has to go hard every ball because
they're falling into the narrative too much.
Yeah, that's what it feels a bit like that when you don't need everyone in your lineup. I think you guys have discussed that heaps of times on this show about everyone in their lineup is not suited to it. A lot of them are, but yeah, guys like Joe Root and a few others where they don't need to go to run a ball to make a good score. So yeah, you're a big no as well there.
Yeah, I think so. And the whole argument is just like, oh, we are forcing the game. We are putting it back on opposition to make a game of this and win.
It's happened a couple of times, but not enough.
But you're losing.
Yeah, exactly.
You're losing. You're losing the exact same amount of time, like exact same amount you were before Bazball even started. So there is no evolution here. You're just playing. You're playing a new style, yes, but you're losing.
Yeah,
you're still losing.
Yeah, so I feel like when we toured England and they were playing Bazball, playing fairly aggressively, I feel like we just stuck to our guns.
Yeah,
and we
obviously
didn't retain the Ashes.
Retain the Ashes, yeah.
Wasn't in convincing fashion, but then again, they did have the better of the conditions.
And they didn't have to deal with Nathan Lyon for 3 tests.
Yeah.
If I was an English fan, at the start, I would have been like, oh, this is exciting. We get a few exciting moments. But by now, I'd just be frustrated. I'd just want to sort of get back to a little bit more traditional test cricket. It doesn't have to be all the way away from Bazball.
The thing is, are they playing Bazball as a style because they think it's going to work, or are they playing Bazball because the test cricket is dying in England and they want fans to come back to test cricket?
No, I think a national coach and national team, all they're thinking about is winning. I think that's. I know it doesn't feel like that because England are losing so much, but I think that's all their priorities.
I think what McCullum's done is because England have had so many successful white ball batsmen, and I think what he's done is like, hey, you guys are great at this. Just do it in white coloured uniform.
Yeah. I don't mind the theory behind it because it has worked a couple of times, but just in the long run, hasn't looked good, has it? So
Test cricket always prevails.
Yes. Well, that's a lot of people saying it's dying, but I think it's still awesome, and we love it on this show. All right, prediction and a man of the match, lads. So 5th Test, India obviously up 3-1. I'll go with you first, Leo. Who's going to win, and who's your man of the match?
I think India will win, and I'm looking at Jaiswal again to have a big performance.
He's awesome.
Double century 2 tests ago.
Yep.
But yeah, he's a young star on the rise. Really puts it on the English bowling attack, and I think he'll do it again here with another big score.
Okay. I don't mind that at all. Jaiswal, he's such a freak. He's such a good fighter. I think we talked about a couple of podcasts ago how this Indian lineup is got so many good young guys. It's probably got the best young talent coming through of any cricketing nation at the moment. So absolutely love it. Marcus, what are you going with? We just talked down England, but what are you going?
We talked down England, but I'm going to go England because the only reason I'm doing this, because they win when it doesn't matter.
Oh, bang.
They win when it doesn't.
The series is done, yeah.
Series is done and dusted. They already lost the series 3-1.
Yeah. To be fair, would you count, they'll probably count it as a win. Not a moral victory or a win, but it's a bit more positive when if they lose this series 3-2, would you say? Like going to India is really hard. Would they take a little moral victory out of that? I don't know.
They would 100%.
Even if they lost, they'll take a moral victory.
They will 100% ride the moral victory train if they lose the series 3-2.
Yeah.
But win the last test.
Fair.
If they lose this match, I think they'll ride the moral victory train, to be honest.
Yeah.
We'll have to see what happens with that.
We want to test in India. That's so difficult.
Yeah. But this bowler bowled at an economy of under 3, and it was a great moral victory. We made them bat like this and just shut
Where's this accent from?
It wasn't a British accent.
That was fine. That was all right.
I'm tempted to go Ben Stokes here, just from everything that he's been saying off the pitch. But I'll go with Zach Crawley.
Crawley, Crawley, yeah. He's been
Crawley.
That's
he's one of the young up and coming or English people to come into the side and English talent that I think is actually genuinely has the potential to be world class.
Yeah, he's been great in this series as well. Like he's had maybe not hundreds, but he's had a couple of 50s and been really good at the top order. Yeah, I'll give you that. I'm going to go India as well. I'm going with Leo. I think they've just got a better overall team. They've got guys in the middle order that are making runs. You've got Jarrell, one of your favourites. Leo. Yeah, you love him. I thought you were going to make a weird joke there again about Jarrell. But yeah, I'm going to go Yadav as player of the match. I just had a look. They said it's going to be a pretty slow pitch, suited to spinners. Even if before the match they say it's not suited to spinners, you get halfway through days 3, 4 and 5 and you go, the spinners are going to get some wickets here. Jadeja cleaned up. Yadav cleaned up in the first couple of tests. So I reckon he's going to bounce back. He wasn't very good the last tests, but I think, he'll dominate this one and get the man of the match there. So, 2 of us going India. One's going Bazball to get a moral victory. And we'll see what happens there. All right, that's it for India versus England. Let's get into an interview now ahead of the Australia versus New Zealand second test with Code Sports journalist Daniel Cherny. Cricket Today here with another special segment. Rather than the usual panel, we've brought us some extra knowledge. I'm here again with Daniel Cherny, Code Sports journalist who knows the ins and outs of test cricket at the moment, live from New Zealand. How you going, Dan? And thanks again for coming on.
No worries, Liam. Good to be with you.
Good to be with you. Awesome first test, the Aussies. It was a fun test, even though the Aussies did smash them. You covered that over in Wellington, which was really good fun. At the Basin, really, really cool ground, actually. Saw you write an article, actually, Dan, about Carey's poor form, bit of inconsistency. Marnus also, a lot of talk around him and his form over the last 12 months. Do you think either of them will be dropped, maybe in the near future, maybe not this next test? And who do you think the best replacement is in that near future?
Oh, look, I think they're going to play this test in Christchurch barring some late issue. I don't think that there's any risk there. I mean, there's no spare keeper in the group, so clearly Carey's fine, and they're not going to bring in Matt Renshaw for Marnus at this stage.
Definitely.
So no, they're both fine for now, but they're both under pump to varying degrees. I think Carey's probably under more pressure from a selection perspective, just because you do have a potentially very strong replacement there in Josh Inglis, who's just made a big century in the Sheffield Shield for Western Australia. Hasn't played a lot of red ball cricket in recent times because he's been around the Australian one-day squad or even as a spare keeper on the Australian test squads. But look, he's done very well there. So look, I think for Carey, if he doesn't make some runs in this match, I think that we're going to see a long 9-month build-up into that next test series where I think there'll be a real discussion to be had against it for the series against India. As I said, Marnus, look, I think he's got so many credits in the bank that I know while he's had 13 or 14 months, I still think, I can't envisage him not playing there, even regardless of how he goes here in the start of next summer. Look, I suppose at a certain point, no one's 100% safe. If you continually made, if you continue to make ones and twos, then I suppose he's potentially under pressure. But I don't think, as I said, there's any imminent danger. And in terms of who'd be replacing him, look, Matt Renshaw is the spare batter in the side. I suppose he's notionally in the whole position for the next group in. But there's so much cricket. But there's so much cricket to be played between now and then that it could be any number of guys. I mean, you're looking at guys like Nathan McSweeney and Bo Webster, Cameron Bancroft, if they wanted to shuffle things around, Marcus Harris. Nick Maddison's having a very good run for Victoria. So there's any number of guys that I think, could be next year. But again, it's so far away that it's almost a moot point.
Yep. Yeah. No, I think you make a very good point. They're obviously going to be in for this next test. Just such a big gap in between tests after this one, which will be really interesting and really good to follow along. Having a look at this next second test between Australia and New Zealand. New Zealand, a lot of talk about them clearly not reading the conditions too well. Didn't pick a frontline spinner. Do you think there'll be a fair few changes in their 11 for this upcoming second test?
Well, we know for sure that Will O'Rourke's out after that hamstring injury, so he'll come out.
Yep.
Look, I think they will strongly consider Ben Sears, who's the uncapped quick in the squad, who they brought in, just because of the extra pace that he provides. And then I think it'll probably again come down to a choice between Scott Kugelheim, the extra seamer, or Mitchell Santner, the left-arm spinner. And I suspect that will go for Santner, having been burnt by a lack of frontline spin option there in Wellington. Now, look, Santner is not of the quality of Nathan Lyon, but look, I think that they've been, as I said, they've been burnt a bit, and they'll be pretty gun shy about going in with the 4 quicks once more after the struggles they had there. Glenn Phillips obviously did a very good job in Wellington, but I suspect those will be their changes.
Yep. No, I think you're spot on there. Glenn Phillips actually did really well. Obviously got the fifer in the second innings, but they definitely would rather choose Santner, who's a bit more of a reliable spinning option for sure. Finish off with a bit of a fun one. I saw you write an article about Nathan Lyon's chances of catching possibly Shane Warne in the Test most wickets for Australia in Australian history. What do you think the chances of that? And do you reckon he could? Obviously, he said he would play till about 2027. I saw you write. Can he get that in the next 2 or 3 years, that little window above that iconic Shane Warne Test record? Yeah.
Yeah, look, he's 181 off, which is still a long way to go. But I suppose if Australia play, we've got about 35 tests roughly, depending on series length and whether they make the World Test Championship final. And obviously, that would rely on him playing consistently and staying fit.
All of them, yeah.
You'd think, you'd think he would for the most part, but injuries do tend to happen as guys get older. We know he had the calf complaint at Lords. But look, he's been pretty durable over the journey, but he's bowling as well as ever. His numbers suggest that. He's getting so much bounce. It was really helped by the bounce in Wellington. He looks like he's out-thinking batsmen. I mean, he did that with Kane Williamson and Rachel Ravindra. So, look, I think he's going to come close. If I was a betting man, I'd say he probably falls just short. But as he touched on, he's spoken about being keen to play those 2 series in England and India in 2027, where he hasn't experienced an outright series win before during his career. So I think a Test series win, I could say. So there's there's incentive to him to play, and he's as hungry as ever. And look, he's not playing other formats, so he can focus his energies on those. And look, I can definitely see him getting well past 600. And it'd probably just be the other issue obviously he has is that there's only a finite amount of wickets in every game, and he's got a pretty good few other bowlers who have taken off him. So that's the nature of a stat like that. And ultimately for these guys, it's not really about the individual numbers; it's about the team wins. Yep. And for him, if he can try to get there, and as the way it looks, it's in Australia's best interest to try and get him to those series in the form that he's in. So things can change, but look, I think he'll get close. Yeah.
Yep. No, I think you're right. I think he'll get to that high 600, 650 plus possibly. But it'd be really tough to catch that obviously Warning mark, which is so iconic and really tough to get to. I think that's it, Dan. We've covered a bit there. We covered the past test, the new test coming up, the second test, and a bit of line talk of records. I don't mind that at all. I think that's it. Check out Daniel Cherny on Code Sports. Some great articles at the moment and all over Twitter. Thanks heaps for coming on, Dan, and good luck in the tests in New Zealand.
No worries, mate. All good.
Thank you. Let's get right back into the usual show. All right, lads, New Zealand taking on Australia in the second test preview. This is the only 2 tests in this series, which really pisses me off because I want an odd number. I want someone to be able to win this series, not a bloody 1-all draw or 2-0. That's just boring. Anyway, that's another podcast I can argue about that. Let's get into a prediction man of the match for this second test. Obviously, the Aussies won comfortably by 172 runs in the first one. I'll start with you, Leo. Who are you going to win? And then the man of the match.
I think based off the first test, I'm going to be backing Australia again. Yep. In saying that, though, New Zealand, we're not that far off. I know it was 170 runs, but they're not that far off. So I think it'll be close. And obviously it was a bit stiff that Cam Green decided to start his era, but I think Nathan Lyon will get man of the match in this one. I think it was obviously awesome. 10 wickets for the game. Top scored in the second innings.
He was unlucky not to get man of the match, I reckon, yeah. We already talked about this, but yeah. No.
Nah, he wasn't. Green was awesome. And look, I just think he'll be like, look, I'm going to take the limelight off you here, Cam, and get man of the match here.
Yeah, okay. Don't mind that.
Another big game.
Yeah. Marcus, what do you got?
Look, I was tempted to go with New Zealand.
Oh.
But because I just don't think our batting is up to par.
Yep.
I just think, a little bit like the last episode, if you haven't heard it, check it out, our debate, whether the Australian bowling attack is sort of winning us games. I feel like if we probably had one or two bowlers in that lineup less, say we rested one or two, then New Zealand have a very, very good chance. But I'll go Australia for now, and I'll back a bowler, and I'll go Josh Hazlewood.
Oh, you like talking about the Hoff? He's so good though.
Yeah, I love the Hoff. I love traditional test bowlers. He just hits the spot, a little bit of swing.
Like Glenn McGrath.
Tall, right hand. Sounds like Marcus.
Nah, he goes to the Cairo too much.
Get a little bit of Craig get a bit of Craig McDermott or Terry Alderman.
Oh, okay. The good chat. That's it.
But yeah, I'm gonna go the Hoff because obviously he was great with the partnership with Cam Green.
Yep.
And deserved man of the match because he stayed in without getting out.
Yeah.
Can he beat his high score of 39? Can he get to the 40s?
I think that 22 will be the highest score for the rest of his career.
No, I'll back him in. I reckon he's going to get it this test.
He was, I don't know, that was just a bit weird. Something went on in Wellington because he cannot bat, so we'll have to wait and see.
He hit a few nice strikes.
He did have a few nice strikes.
I reckon I'll back him in. Maybe a few edges for 4 as well.
I'm not backing him in.
He's got to stop showing his 3 stumps.
I think him and Marnus must have,
swapped
the same fountain.
Yeah, no, Space Jam lost his powers and just went straight into talking about Marnus.
Segue.
Bit of a segue. Yeah. When did the segue? You don't say segue, but that's another story, lads. Segue. Australia, I'm going to go as well. I think too good in the first test. We absolutely smashed them. Bowlers, as we've talked about, can get us out of a jam literally in every test, even if our batters, only one guy's making a big score. I'm going to go Marnus, man of the match.
Yeah, I like it.
The guy that you guys said is a bit overrated. I think he's gonna bounce back at some point. I think they're gonna eventually pick him, as Dan Cherny mentioned in an interview. I think they'll still pick him later in the year because of all the great scores he's had in the past. Obviously, he's had a horrible 12 months. The luck has not been within some horrible shots, but I think he's gonna bounce back here. This will be the surge back up the ladder for him. So I'm hoping more of a hope one.
That's a big call, but we'll keep tabs on that because I think you're going to be absolutely wrong.
He might make 2 ducks, but
I think he won't make.
How many runs do you think he'll make?
I reckon he'll make 40 and then 100.
40 and 100.
Or maybe 100 in the first innings and a 40 or something like that. And that usually gets you man of the match, I reckon. Yeah.
I don't think he makes past 30
in total.
Combined?
Oh, combined? What combined?
Combined
50.
Combined, I'll go 30.
I wonder what he's
combined.
Combined, I'll go 50.
Okay.
I wonder what his over under is.
Let's make one right now.
What would Marnus
3?
Genuinely though.
No, it's probably like 27.
What did he make last test?
Oh, not many. He's over under right now would probably be like 11 and a half.
11 and okay, geez. So you guys are very harsh towards
Based off his last 10 innings.
I know, but that's not, Anyway.
That's higher than his average in his last 10 innings.
Look, stats guy, I hope you're right because then we got the number 3 back. So
and we don't have, as we mentioned, we don't have a lot of guys coming through, and it's a worry that spot, as you mentioned, the batting order. That's why you're almost tempted to tip New Zealand. So hopefully it goes all right, and then our batting order looks a lot better.
So I think that's our biggest weakness.
Yeah, but either way, we're all tipping Australia, even if we don't bat too well, to back our bowlers. And
just quick, I know you touched on it with Dan Cherny, but do you think if Alex Carey has has a stinker with it or doesn't shine with the bat at the very least? Does he get dropped by the Ashes?
I think he has to. I love him in all the other formats, but Test, he's
Do you love him in all the other formats?
Sorry, I used to love him in all the formats because he was good in the World Cup, but
he's a great 20 to 30 maker.
So I feel like he sort of came through in Big Bash, really.
Yeah, he did.
If you need someone to make 20 to 30 runs, he's your guy.
But we need more than that.
If you need
English is a better batsman.
If you need like a classic 5 out of 10 performance.
But Alex Carey it's a really good-looking 20 or 30, and then he'll just do something ridiculous, like play a reverse sweep, off-leg stump or something. So maybe use your brain up.
But yeah, I'll agree with you. I think Dan said it, and we agree with that one as well. English probably, but this time at the end of the year when we're playing the Ashes, he might be
the only thing
gone.
that's keeping Carey in the side is because he is the best wicket keeper.
Yeah, wicket keeper. But
pure wicket keeper in the world.
As we've mentioned in modern cricket, you need to be a great batter. So English is a better batter.
Stiff on Jarrell's keeping.
Especially when our batting lineup is
Yeah, batting lineup's not too good at the moment. Anyway, yeah, that's a tough one, and I'm sure after this test match, there'll be some question marks, Marnus and Carey, as we mentioned in that interview. All right, that's stumps for the Cricket Today show. We'll be back with this next week after the conclusion of both these test matches. So get right around the show, send in any questions, and I think that's it. Thank you very much, Marcus.
Cheers, Stats Guy.
Thanks, Leo.
Thanks, Stats Guy.
Thank you very much, Gerald. Thanks to me, and that's another episode of Cricket Today done. We're out.